So Indian market, if you look at it, has over 3,000 plus companies, 10,000 plus manufacturing facilities, and a pool of highly skilled resources, which has supported the Indian industry growth tremendously in India as well as globally. The Indian companies rank first in production of generic medicine and third in production of pharmaceutical products. The sector has grown significantly with a market size of over $42 billion as of today. And of this $42 billion, export comprises of over 60%, which is $24 billion. Additionally, the Indian pharmaceutical companies are the largest supplier of vaccines globally and accounts for over 50% of the total vaccines getting manufactured in the world. 3 out of every 5 vaccines gets manufactured by Indian companies as well. So all of this indicates that the industry is flourishing and companies in this space has a great growth potential in future. Now, at the same time, the regulatory environment for this industry is a lot stricter than companies in other space, which is other industries. And this is for but obvious reasons that this industry deals with human lives. The pharmaceutical industry in India is regulated by the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, which is CDSCO, and it is under Directorate General of Health Services. Let us briefly look at an example with mid-sized companies who wishes to set up a business in India with operations in one state, one factory, and one corporate office. To set up a business from scratch, it has to deal with over 70 plus permissions, licenses, and approvals under various central acts, state acts, and municipal corporation acts. And once the production has been initiated and the company starts selling, on an ongoing basis, the company has to deal with over 900 compliances, which are unique compliances on an ongoing basis. And all of this under 114 plus acts. So if you look at 900 plus compliances, which is as good as 3 compliance a day, and I've not even considered the frequency of compliance. If you try and extrapolate the frequency of compliance, it may well overcross 3,000 plus compliances in a given year. If you look at compliances, a company has to take care of around 200 plus registers. They have to maintain registers under various acts. They have to file over 100 plus statutory returns. They have to ensure display of around 117 plus requirements under various acts, make payments under various requirements, which is 44 plus payments on an ongoing basis, and so on and so forth. So this highlights the overall complexities for compliances for a small company into the space. Now, if you look at these 900 compliances, I mean, 50% of these 900 compliances has imprisonment clauses. That is, repercussion of non-compliance may lead to jail terms. And a good chunk of them criminalizes procedural violations and technical lapses rather than the serious offenses. If we try and dissect these criminal provisions, 3 out of every 5 imprisonment clauses prescribe jail terms over 1 year. That is severe implication for non-compliance in this sector. And the cost of poor compliances is simply too high for a company, and thus the compliance management, effective compliance management has become a business imperative. Let us look at an MSME with a limited set of individuals who manage compliances. For them, it becomes very difficult to understand what is applicable for their organization, considering the fact that the applicability changes based on multiple factors. It changes based on the use of specific equipments, let's say hoist, lifts, cranes, pressure vessels, among others. It also changes based on the inputs or the raw materials which the MSME uses for producing, that is methanol, ethanol, dyes, food colors, hazardous chemicals, etc. And also changes based on the end products that they produce, whether they are into APIs, vaccines, formulations, medical devices, or others. Additionally, the Drugs and Cosmetic Rules 1945 has a number of schedules which specify requirements and guidelines for pharmaceutical industry. Most of the organizations find it very challenging to track these compliances with the state schedule. Understanding the requirements of these schedule itself is a complicated task. And for people with limited experience within the organization may find it extremely difficult to understand what is required for them. An additional challenge that a company has to face is to actually stay on top of what is changing on a regulatory environment. Employees within the organization finds it very difficult to keep track of changes. If you look at the overall changes annually across India, there are over 5,000 plus legal updates that gets published over 2,300 government web pages. To manually scan through or review all of these pages or web pages on a day-to-day basis becomes humanly impossible. And there is a high chance that an employee misses out on legal update. They end up not complying with the required regulations. Considering over 60% of the market comprises of exports, to become eligible, the Indian companies do have to ensure that they're adhering to the global regulators. I mean, let's say South African Medicine Control Council, or if you are exporting to US, there are US FDA. Now, understanding the requirements of these external regulators, preparing yourself to actually adhere to them, and I'm sure there might be a lot of certifications and audits that they have to deal with on an ongoing basis. Managing all of this becomes very tedious for an Indian small organization.